Hello and good morning, everyone. I'm the Watcher on the Web. This is CFC episode 556, and I'm joined as always by Mr. Joe Delio. How are you this morning, Joe?
I am well and good, but it is episode 557.
Oh, 557. Yeah.
I know it's sad.
Yeah.
It's sad that we're beyond 556, but here we are.
Yeah. That was a good one, though. We had a lot of good guests for that show.
Yeah, I had to bounce out early. I was told that I was late for something by someone, and
The boss.
possibly wrong. I had to be.
Well, we're glad you're back. So yeah, guys, we have kind of an interesting show today. We're going to be talking about the situation going on with National Guard around the nation, and then a little update on quite a few very different but connected things going on with China. So it should be a pretty good one. Let's see. Before we get started, as you may notice, Scott is once again gone. Not to worry, this was planned. He will be gone Monday and Wednesday, but he should be returning for the Friday show.
And it is totally and completely unrelated to North Korea firing 2 missiles overnight.
Yes, yes, entirely. But yeah, should be an interesting show.
Hey, listen, Squishy Hunter. As far as our start time, we have always maintained that it's 9:15 ish.
Yeah, the council
ish realm.
The council's never late. It's never early. It arrives exactly when it intends to.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, gents. Let's see. I've got a good one to get us started today. This one's a little video. A leftist in Olympia, Washington, has a message he wants to get across to ICE. Let's hear him and see what this message is.
What's up, TikTok? It looks like I was talking with the homeless people out here. They're getting ready tonight, man. So right over here is where they're all at. Chilling right over here by the transit center, and so yeah, they're chilling right there. And ain't nobody fucking with them. Man. They're ready tonight, man. They got baseball bats, knives. Some of them are armed actually. So like, if ICE comes in here, man, the one dude I was talking with, he said if they come and try to fuck with him, he's already gonna shoot. He don't care. He has nothing to lose at this point, is what he told me. He goes, God forbid if they come in here and mess with me, we're gonna be crashing out right here. That's where he said, right behind me. And he said if they come and fuck with us tonight, he goes, man. He showed me his pistol, and he goes, man, they ain't gonna like that, man, because I'm gonna shoot and ask questions first, is what he said, and that's what's going on. So people are hearing what's going on, and they're getting, so like these homeless people, they're armed right here, man. They got baseball bats, knives, and a couple of pistols. So if anyone tries to fuck with them, man, it's gonna be a shootout.
Oh boy.
This is further proof, once again, of my theory that a flat-billed, oversized cap is of a lack of intelligence. It's not wrong.
No, I never heard that theory, but it's accurate. It's accurate.
You find me a genuinely smart dude wearing an oversized flat brim hat. Yeah, exactly.
We found him, boys. Yeah, things are getting a little spicy in leftist run areas. They are, as I've said, they're kind of beyond themselves. They don't know how to deal with what's happening, and so their immediate response is do what we've continuously done for the last 10 years and go to violence. However, they don't have control of the state. They don't have control of the wheels of power anymore, and they're finding out pretty quickly that they generally can't keep doing that. Yeah, we'll get into more of that as the show goes on when we're talking about the National Guard stuff, I think. Yeah, guys, things are getting a little spicy, a little interesting.
It's going to be a good time.
Too much gain on the mic.
Sounds like a fun party.
too much gain on the mic this time. It's not something I usually hear, but good stuff. Yeah, I don't know. Like I said, I'm not sure we're far off from seeing at least a short amount of street violence. We'll keep you informed on that front, though. On another front, our next odds and ends is something everybody's been talking about for quite a while now, but data is starting to come out. So, as the debate around H-1B visas and who is getting them and why they're getting them, and the industries and fields in which they are getting them, some very interesting data points have been released. Such as nearly half of H-1B visas went through outsourcing firms. In all, nearly half of the H-1B visas in Bloomberg's analysis went to outsourcing or staffing companies. Yeah, those are super high-skilled positions. We definitely we can't find anybody to fill in staffing agencies, which generally just provide warm bodies to go sit in a place when their employee count is too low.
It's just proof that they're doing whatever they can to lower their costs, right? I can pay a young lass from Mumbai way less than I can pay one from the suburbs, right? So
Yeah.
it's just a great way for some of these companies to reduce costs.
Well, I think Diatica has the other side of that stick here, which is, what happens when you get a staffing agency that the majority of the C-suite is Indian?
You know, this reminds me that yesterday you put out a tweet in response to the United Sikh Alliance's statement.
Oh, yeah. Let me pull that up.
Yeah, that was good. So, in reference to the young lad who was arrested in Florida, the United Sikhs put out a statement, and watch her kind of nailed it here.
So they said, "We're saddened by the loss of life and the tragic incident that occurred in Florida on August 12th. We grieve with the families impacted and offer our condolences. We're also in touch with the family of the accused, Harjinder Singh, and are advocating for equality, that the law must be appropriately and uniformly applied."
Stop. They didn't say equality, and this is an important difference that the left always makes.
Equity, yeah.
We on the right believe in equality. The left believes in equity. Those two things are not the same, right?
Yeah, you're right. No, you're totally right, and I read right over that. Those threatening and spewing discriminatory rhetoric and disinformation must be held to account. First of all, there is no holding people account for disinformation in our country. That's not a fucking thing. If you want to jump on that side of the bandwagon, they already lost power. Please feel free to throw in your lot with them. But next, discriminatory rhetoric. You mean like those who cannot speak or read English have no business operating a 20-ton piece of machinery going 100 miles an hour on the freeway? Yeah. Very, very discriminatory, let me tell you. But yeah, I'm not even going to honor the rest of this with reading it. You guys can go do that on your own. My opinion on this was, I used to hold Sikhs in pretty high value, and the shine is pretty much worn off of that. I must have just known some pretty exceptional individuals. And it's been pointed out to me that this is true of many cultural groups, of which the exceptional people migrated here in the 80s, 90s, and early 2000s. And then migration continued and began to include, shall we say, less exceptional examples of those cultures.
Well, here's the thing. What they should have said was, hey, look, we stand by the family in this, and we're sorry about this, and that this guy was in the wrong. Coming to his defense does not help them. When the entire world is seeing the video, it's not an accusation. It's a flat-out fact. He made an illegal U-turn that led to people dying. The law is being properly applied in this case.
Yeah, I was going to say.
If I made an illegal U-turn and someone died, I would be charged with a crime.
Well, and let's be honest, man. Like the law that he broke, the U-turn that they're on, If you use that U-turn as a small sports car, you would be charged, regardless of if you caused an accident. It's a highly illegal U-turn. Like you're absolutely not allowed to do that. That alone, if the freeway had been empty and no one had died, should still have got him deported.
Yeah. He has no business driving a truck. He failed the test. He's not eligible for a driver's license, an actual commercial driver's license. Crazy. It's crazy to come to this guy's defense.
Yeah. More than just this guy's defense too, because we have to figure out we have to, like, this isn't a we would like this or anything. We have to figure out a solution to get the illegals off the road, and it has to be fast. My personal proposition that's out here for this is pretty simple. It'd just be the federal government essentially issuing a statement saying, hey, states, you do not have to hold reciprocal commercial driver's licenses that come from states that have been issuing them to illegal immigrants or whose system has been showed to be significantly cracked. Because there are some states that are not intention. There's no official policy of issuing them to illegal immigrants, but it turns out that state clerks' offices are doing it anyway. I think essentially what you say is, hey, none of those CDLs are valid anymore. Every single one of the CDLs issued from those states are no longer valid. You can because we can't tell you what to do inside your own state. So if you want to keep letting them drive just in-state trucks, then good for you. But they're not going to be on interstate highways. That's not even like, I've heard people give me pushback on this, like, oh, they couldn't do that. That's literally the definition of interstate commerce. I'm sorry, but they absolutely have the power to do this.
Look, if California can rule that no diesel trucks are allowed within its borders anymore, people can certainly say California DLs are no longer valid anywhere else.
Yes, sir. Hey, real quick, Loki LARP, thank you so much for those 5 gifted subs, man. I'm trying to keep a better eye on Rumble because I know that's where you guys have started to donate all your money through, which, man, do we appreciate that. But yeah, if you haven't got a sub yet, head on over and try and get Loki LARP's 5 gifts. Go ahead.
I want to point out that this is a drum I've been banging for at least 4 years. Because when I started traveling the country teaching classes, I noticed a shift in who was driving the trucks on American freeways, and it was rather dramatic. It was like a switch was thrown. One day it was a different class of people, the next it's all Indians. And the truck stops have several Indian-only truck stops where all the signage is in Hindi and all the food is Indian, and there's nothing for anyone who's not Indian in that truck stop anymore. And it's going all over the country. And I've been kind of ringing the bell on this, and now here we are. Everyone's starting to see it. Pay attention to me, man. I might know what I'm talking about every now and then.
Seriously. Yeah, if you guys know, I've been talking about the same thing, and it's mostly just because I have friends who are truckers, and they've been talking about the industry for a while now. And I'm telling you guys, something's got to change.
S2 Underground. I want to give props to our buddy S2 Underground. He has done some digging into the ownership, and it started with that particular truck that this guy drove with. And he expanded it out, and there are something like in the neighborhood of 32 trucking firms registered in one building, and over 50 have the same registered agent. And you were finding that there are just hundreds of these trucking companies that exist only on paper, and we don't know if it's a more organized scheme or if it's just the way that the Indians do it. They register their truck as a trucking company to limit liability, whatever. But pay attention to what S2 Underground is doing on this. He's finding there's a lot of irregularities in the licensing of these firms and their US DOT numbers and all of that. So
it turns out that there's I don't know if S2 Underground went over this because I didn't see S2's video, but I saw somebody else's video over this, and it's actually apparently been like an open secret that they have basically open shops for DOT numbers where they will sell them and swap them. Like you get an accident, you get too many points on your record, swap out that number to somebody else. Go buy somebody else's number, slap it on your truck.
Yeah. crazy.
Nice socials.
Hey, how's it going, Pete?
No, pretty good. Sorry, I'm traveling. I'm running errands around town, so I'm changed my little avatar and all that kind of stuff. So, yeah.
Well, good to have you. Good to have you. I think that about wraps that up. Let's move on to our final odds and ends for today. Joe, why don't you take spear point on this one?
Wow. So the fine family man from Maryland, Kilmar Abrego Garcia, has been taken into custody by ICE once again after turning himself in. ICE claims they're going to deport him to Uganda, which is a great place to deport him to. Once again, the left is defending him as a family man. But let's remember why he's even back in the U.S. right now. He's back in the U.S. because he has to face human smuggling charges out of Tennessee. So this fine family man who just wants to earn a living for his family was still involved in human smuggling and is still facing charges for human smuggling. He's not the nice person everyone thinks he is. But he has been, he had his first appearance in that trial. They set the date for January, but the U.S. government's like, well, he probably won't be here in January. Have a nice life.
Yeah, as far as I understand the legal thing here, the left was freaking out like, didn't he have a non-deportation order? Well, as far as I understand it, the order basically, the only thing the judge can issue, and it was the maximum amount of relief the judge could issue, was an order stating that he has to be returned to, quote, the same state as he was in before the arrest. And that protects him 0% after that. So all they have to do...
They did also say he could not be deported to a Central American country. And they thought that was it. Checkmate. We got him. And so then the administration was like, okay, Uganda it is then.
Bet.
All this reminds me of like during World War II, they would put POWs. Now, it wasn't law or anything like that, but they would put POWs in the location similar to where they were captured.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing, man. It's a lot longer swim across the Atlantic than it is across the Rio Grande. So I wish him luck.
Yeah, I'm warning the left on this. We keep setting up facilities that are decent facilities to put these people into. You seem to think you can stop us by shutting down the facilities. I think you forget how many unbelievably, utterly creative ways, particularly an entity with the resources that the U.S. government has, of doing exactly what we're going to do. Like, I'm telling you right now, if you shut down every single one of our overseas detention facilities to be able to facilitate things like this, do you know what will happen? We will park barges 12 miles off the coast.
Use the ones from COVID.
Act like I'm joking, too.
Right? Hey, Omega Lloyd. Yeah, they might get deported to Djibouti. But what's worse is when you get deported out of Djibouti. It's even worse.
I've heard that's a pretty shitty experience.
And Karen, no, Derna's not saying it's not illegal to hire them. He's saying they do it anyway. That's all he's saying. So.
Yeah, and then they set up enough shell corporations so that if drivers get in trouble in one place, they can shuffle them other places. If CDLs,
and how large companies like Tyson keep getting away with it, because Tyson has been raided, I don't know, 30, 40 times for illegal aliens. How they get away with it is exactly what Washer pointed out in the beginning. Staffing companies. They say, well, we didn't hire the guy. We hired a staffing company who sent us all the illegals. They know the staffing company is sending them illegals, but they don't care because that $5,000 a day legal liability is transferred to the staffing company, not them.
Facts. All right, everybody. Well,
He says he comes here for the top-notch geopolitical analysis and Djibouti jokes. Darn right. You're darn right. We try to squeeze a Djibouti joke in now and then. Oh, there's another one.
Well, that's it for odds and ends today, folks. Let's get well, Joe. I guess it's time for a little tactical wisdom break.
Well, first of all, you seem to be in a hurry this morning, so I'm going to pump the brakes and slow it down a little bit in honor
you
of Scott.
you know why I'm in a hurry this
I-
morning.
Speaking of Djibouti jokes, anyway, so let's just talk about everyone's weekends. You do anything fun over the weekends, Watcher?
Yeah, actually. So the farm stand that there's a little farm down here. Last year they had a little stand that was just their vegetables, and the next year they decided, hey, why don't we invite everybody else? And because of that, it started to form this really, really neat little community of a bunch of people who are, have little productive farms or little productive side enterprises. And they decided to bring them all together yesterday to do a big barbecue and like rented out an inflatable 25-foot tall water slide and like all kinds of crazy stuff. So the watchlings had an unbelievable good time, and the wife and I ended up getting to meet a bunch of other small business owners in the area that all produce food and useful things, and had a little talk about how we can all help each other's businesses and better each other. And I'm telling you guys, if you need a little pick me up in life, those are the kinds of those are just absolutely phenomenal experiences. So yeah, I had a pretty damn good weekend, to be honest.
Oh, good. Before we get to you, Pete, I wanna share a screen here, just in case anyone is wondering. This is an actual photo. Watch her throw it up there of Pete Wrangel, Russian revolutionary, the last general of the White Army during the Russian Civil War. So we're honored that he joins our show on a regular basis.
You're welcome. You're quite welcome.
I just wondered how your weekend went, man.
Oh, it went really well. Mother-in-law was in town. Bunch of yard work. Like we got new chickens because building all that new pen out and all that, cut grass. So the first time it haven't rained in a 48-hour period in about 3 weeks. So
Nice.
That's a winner.
How many and what kind of new chickens?
Originally we had 12. Now we had 8 or 6. I forget.
Oh.
Yeah, I know, not great. Pack of wild dogs. That's what it is. There's a very not great character guy who lives a couple miles down the road, and he's let his dogs run wild, and so he just eats them up. But we got a nice little run for him. I'll take a picture and I'll post it and all that kind of stuff. And what else is going on? I just enjoying the week. So that's what's going on. And the mother-in-law and being in town, that's always fun.
Well, how about you, Joe?
Well, Mrs. Tactical Wisdom arranged a surprise birthday party for several of us. Her and I birthdays are a day apart, and then we had Al and Linda's are all in the same month. So we had kind of a mass birthday party over in the dining hall.
Awesome.
It went pretty good. Yogi, our maintenance guy, made a fantastic zucchini cake. If you've never had that, it's actually pretty darn good. And we had a great time just sitting around with friends and family and enjoying each other's company. And it was a really neat little surprise. I pointed out in the middle of the day that I knew she was up to something because, I'm a professional investigator and I know when people are acting different. But it was actually quite fun. So it's a good time. And we did a little bit of teaching this weekend. We did some land navigation, people getting out in the woods. While it took them a long time to complete the course, they did not get lost. So they did not win the second lieutenant award.
Hey now. Hey.
Maybe mute when you're not on there. But well, we don't need to hear you interacting with the locals when you get out of the car either. Anyway, it's a good weekend. We all had a rather enjoyable time and everything went good. But on to the tactical wisdom segment. I have a new article up talking about your expectations. There's a lot of folks who will come out and take a course and think that in a half a day or in a weekend, even they can become Jason Bourne. It doesn't work that way. You have to get out. You have to come to more than one class. You have to spend some time uh, applying those skills and then getting a lot more, I don't know, a lot more reps in and actually getting out and doing stuff, right? Get out and train and get out and do it regularly and do it more often than not. And by the way, stop asking us to reduce prices and all that stuff because that's literally how we pay our bills. We have to pay our bills. You wouldn't ask your doctor if he could do both kidneys for the same price. So
I really like the shall we say the Braxton McCoy take on that.
if you pay me for 300, I'll give you 300. Is that the one?
Correct. Yes.
Yeah.
Whipped it out again yesterday. Glorious.
Yes, it did. Yes, it did. So actually get out there and train, but be realistic about it. Develop a plan, understand what you want to learn, and go after it. The other thing too is that when we come to a class, it's we do have a lot of fun, but that's not what it's all about. It's about actually getting out and learning and bettering yourself, and the fun will come. But there are also a lot of guys who think they're going to come out to an event and run all their cool guy gear and tell everyone what they know rather than actually setting aside their ego and learning. So if you come to a class and you've been to 15 other ones, don't tell everyone, well, in so-and-so's class, I learned it this way. No, there might be a better way. Get out there and soak up all of the learning and then apply what works for you. So pretty good article. Check that out. There's also some more things on the training schedule. You want to flip over there, Washer. The next one that I have coming up is this weekend. Right here at the camp, we have a combatives class where you can come spend the whole weekend, learn unarmed self-defense, ground fighting, stick fighting, knife fighting, and cold firearms combatives. Then the weekend after that, I have a couple of one-day classes. Getting home is how to build a get-home bag and then develop a plan for that, including doing your area study and knowing your routes to and from. And then on that Sunday, Baofeng Basics, and I have some people coming for that this weekend for sure, where you learn the very basic workings of a Baofeng radio. We teach you how to shut off the angry Chinese lady and all that kind of stuff. The following weekend, we have an actual survival camp. And then getting into next month, I'll be down at NC Scouts Place where we're going to do fieldcraft just before the Scout and Recce course. In all reality, as I point out in the article, if you do fieldcraft, Scout, and Recce, you're going to come out of there with some pretty solid light infantry skills, and you're going to be in a good position to move forward in any troubles that happen. So recommend that stack, fieldcraft, Scout, and Recce. And there are spaces available in that fieldcraft class in North Carolina. Your last chance to see me in the other half of the U.S. this year. So get out there and check it out. And hey, while you're at it, buy my books. Tell your friends to buy my books, and then tell your friends to buy more copies of my books for their friends.
Oh, well, it'd help if I unmuted my mic.
It would. Immensely, actually.
Yes, buy the books, and if I remember correctly, the way in which you get the special artwork is you buy them through the website, and you get all the first three.
No, if you get all 5, you get artwork.
That's
now.
what it is.
It's not just 3.
Yeah, so get the
You
whole
get 'em all,
series
we'll get 'em
and
all.
receive rare and valuable post-it note artwork. It's amazing.
It's just
stuff.
absolutely, yeah. It's on the index cards, not post-it notes.
Index cards.
Index
there you go.
cards. Just why they last longer, a little more durable, and they're high quality pieces of art.
They're my favorite. Let's see, folks. As you know, Brushbeater, brushbeater.store is your place for all things tactical gear, as well as training classes on the East Coast. I think the thing that I want to highlight today is for us poors. these are the things that I was debating between recently: the AGM Rattler V2 and the AGM Rattler V2 clip-on. Fantastic bits of thermal vision kit. Really can expand what you're doing. However, because it is on the low end, you're looking at low resolution. But the great thing about Brush Beater Store is a lot of times when you're on the low end of the gear chain and you're searching for stuff, you'll find out really quickly that some things look exactly like other things, and it turns out that you got the wrong model number or what have you, and suddenly you're stuck with the one that everybody knows is a piece of garbage. Doesn't happen to you at Brush Beater. He doesn't sell the piece of garbage products. Even on the low end, everything he has is really solid and tested well. Loki Larp says he's actually got one. It's solid. Excellent. Yeah, which one, by the way? The clip-on or the actual weapon sight? I don't know, man. I'm still debating. But anyways, anything that you want to buy out on the site, use code CFC10. That's going to get you 5% off. Yes, I'm glad some of you finally realized the joke. But yeah, like I said, Brush Beater Store, head on out there, get you some classes, get you some gear. And if you can, get on over to the actual store down in Yanceyville before you purchase your gear so that you can actually try it on inside of a cool testing facility. You have the weapon site? Excellent, excellent, excellent. Joe, any notes? Am I missing anything on that?
I've got the Wolf 14, and I also have the AGM Rattler. Great stuff. Good tools. The clip-on is the way to go. But mine, I bought the monocular attachment, so mine is now actually both a clip-on and a monocular. Great stuff. Cool. Highly recommend them. And Brush Beater is a place to get them.
Very cool. I think I've used your Rattler, but I think your Rattler's the V1.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah, mine was the V1. Yep, you used the Rattler that night.
It's a nice little unit, man. I bet the V2 is even better. I've heard it's got some nicer features, and the battery's a little easier to deal with.
I love it. Hey, Matt L., I will be writing more fiction. I just got to get caught up on the nonfiction series first before we do that. So,
yeah. All right, everybody. So let's move into our main topic: guarding the nation. National Guard in D.C. is set to begin carrying firearms, which, in my opinion, is an incredibly highly sensible thing. Am I wrong? Like, DC specifically, even if it's just like personal defense weapons, like, I really dislike the thought of sending people into a conflict zone that actually technically has a higher daily death ratio than most of the places we get deployed to without letting them be armed.
The only problem is that they're carrying the M17 and M18 pistol, which means they're likely to suffer casualties of their own making. So, although
dual angles here, I didn't think about.
Yeah, it's a SIG 320. Scroll back up to that image, though. Look at the way that guy's carrying that pistol. That's absolutely ludicrous. How do you draw that pistol?
What is this?
Nobody carries a pistol on the front of their thigh. So, a little bit weird.
Lefties, weird. Why are you like this?
Yeah. I think that has to do with more with general retardation than being a lefty. But that's silly. But I think that, they should be allowed to carry them for their own defense. Most of them probably have some sort of concealed carry permit in their own state anyway. So why would you not let them carry when they're actually doing their job? So,
which, as long as we're on the topic, Trump, you could be, I know it's not going to be you because you're terrible on guns, but you could be the president after a shooting on a base that echoes like a shooting on a base not that long before it. You could be the one who finally lifts the ban on service members being allowed to carry personal firearms on base. It could be you. You could fix this.
Right? It's pretty simple.
Let me get to the article real quick. Some National Guard units patrolling the U.S. Capitol in the at the direction of Donald Trump have started carrying firearms. An escalation of the president's military deployment. It's not a. It makes good on a directive issued last week by his Defense Department. A Defense Department official who was not authorized to speak publicly said some units on certain missions in D.C. would be armed, some with handguns, others with rifles. Well, that makes sense. It literally just does. I agree with Joe though. If we've got some SIGs, then maybe the National Guard needs to get a hasty reissue.
There's no reason why the National Guard and military police, for example, wouldn't be armed.
Yeah. It's an unfortunate shame. I think all of them should be armed, even if it's not openly, and even if it's not for official duties, when they're in an area that is this dangerous. And I know that's not something the Guardian is ever going to bring up because, again, they're fine with their friends and colleagues and family members getting hacked to death on a daily basis. But yeah, well, then again, many of them are from the area, so they know what's up. The spokesperson said that all units with firearms had been trained and were operating under strict rules for use of force. Wait, I'm going to back up for just a second. Aren't all service members trained in firearms?
Yeah, it was a dumb statement, but...
Okay.
Yeah.
As Associated Press photographer on Sunday saw members of the South Carolina National Guard outside the Union Station with holstered handguns. Okay, so these aren't the D.C. guys. These are the other 19 states that we're bringing in. A statement from the Joint Task Force that has taken over policing in D.C. said units began carrying their service weapons on Sunday, and the military's rules say force should be used only as a last resort and solely in response to an imminent threat of deadly and serious bodily harm, which is what I would assume the ROEs would be anywhere in the states, basically. It said the force was committed to protecting the safety and well-being of Washington residents. Yes, and I'm betting what happened is that I'm betting that what has probably happened multiple times is that as National Guard have been out assisting the police on multiple of these things, I think there have probably been close calls.
Yeah, I imagine they probably had some potential violence that's happened, and they're like, "Hey, we've got some liability here. If somebody dies, one of our service members dies, and we didn't give them the ability to defend themselves."
Yep. I know a lot of the left are going to go nuts about this, but honestly, I don't personally have any problem with this. Particularly when we make the rules very overtly, hey, you can literally only use this if it's going to prevent you or someone you know from dying. I get that civilians might not understand that, like, the way this would be handled is pretty different, but yeah, he's got very specific rules of engagement that they have to use before they can shoot, and I would not be surprised to find out that one of those steps is that they might even have to call in and request permission, because that happened in multiple places that we were deployed to overseas, to where, like, you were sitting getting fired on, and unless you had permission and a positive ID on target, you weren't allowed to fire back.
Yeah, it's gonna be interesting. We'll see. And I know there's a couple people commented that they're worried the left's going to stage some sort of an incident. Probably are. They probably are. But there's really not much that can be done about that.
No, there really isn't. Also, I would say that funnily enough, if the left is going, like I've said this before, I believe this is actually the goal. I think this is why Trump is doing this. He's law and order is one thing, great. There are ways to accomplish that. He's doing what he's doing overtly in the way that he's doing it to try and make the left go nuts.
Yes, that is correct.
And at this point, I believe that might, again, I'm not saying it's the morally correct play. However, if we're just talking about tactically, the left has less sympathy now than they've ever had. Just saying, it's maybe not the dumbest thing that's ever been done. Just underhanded and shitty. They need a catalyst to shore up waning support. The left? Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, Yeah, they do. They do. They need some sort of a motivating event that drives people in their direction.
The Associated Press photographer on Sunday saw members. Oh, yeah, sorry, we already did that. A statement from the Joint Task Force said that has taken over policing. Nope, we did that. The defense official who spoke to the Associated Press said only troops on certain missions would carry guns, and that they would include those patrolling to establish a law enforcement presence throughout the capital. Those working in transportation or administration would probably remain unarmed. I mean, can they maybe at least like have a gun that they check at the door to get to their car? Just saying. Thousands of National Guard and federal.
We let civilian contracted drivers carry guns in Iraq and Afghanistan.
That's what I'm saying.
Those places are somewhat safer than the streets of Washington, D.C.
Thousands of National Guard and federal law enforcement officers are now patrolling the district streets, drawing sporadic protests from local residents. You can just say boomers, it's fine. Guardian, we understand. The development of Trump's extraordinary effort to override the law enforcement authority of state and local. There is no state or local government. He's not overriding it. This is literally written like he didn't write some kind of new law. He didn't repeal any law. He literally just went to a law that already existed and exercised the authority that was written into that law for him.
Well, and states are voluntarily sending their troops, so that negates the issue. So it's entirely different. Entirely different. Now they have a valid point when he says, "Well, I'm going to send him to Chicago." He doesn't have the same legal basis in Chicago or New York that he has in Washington, D.C.
Agreed. Now, there are other states that are deploying National Guard to help in ICE and deportation efforts. However, I believe those guys are being deployed mostly as a support role. Like, they're mostly probably going to be like motor pool and doing paperwork and crap. And all of those guys are deploying to their own states whose governors are deploying them. So, I don't know. Although, again, we probably should have brought this up as one of the stories, Joe. It is interesting to watch that effort begin to take place right as harvest is kicking off, and almost all of the states it's happening in are main agricultural states. It's going to be a very, very interesting time in the Midwest, is all I'm saying.
Right?
If you're out there, I'm just saying, if you got a camera and will travel, you could get some pretty viral footage.
Absolutely. And answer Hunch's question, how about the removing the DC moratorium and honoring CCWs in other states? Hey, I absolutely would say that.
Yeah.
And I would say that technically in the District of Columbia, federal law should trump. And the federal law says that I have the right to bear arms, which means carry them.
Yeah, and I guess we're to that part of the show now where we can talk about the really weird half measure Trump took, where he restored the ability to carry arms in DC, but only long guns.
Yeah. I don't. I didn't see a designation or a carve out in the Second Amendment that said only certain types of weapons.
Yeah, it's again, 2A advocates. This might be your president in other ways, but he has never been great about the 2A, unless he gets kicked in the pants in poll numbers. So, I don't know. Just a thought, folks. He might need a little bit of a firm hand from the Vox Populi. Although, as I saw God, why can I not remember their name? That group of lawyers who defend firearm rights. That's actually really damn good at it. Anyhow, FPC or whatever. They are taking up the case, I think. So hopefully they will also include, well, hopefully we'll get handguns included.
Yes, yes,
We'll
yes,
see.
yes.
All right.
Here's a $2 from
Oh, I missed it.
Shay
Sorry,
up
let me
there.
go. Hey, Pinochet's helicopter tours for $2. By the way, I hope you're feeling better, man. When I was activated during the Boston Marathon bombing, us nasty girls were put on every street corner of Boston unarmed. Jesus. Although, as I do remember, the one mitigating factor there is wasn't like the whole city locked down. Like, didn't they literally tell everybody to stay in their houses? Then
Yeah,
again,
Boston's not exactly the shining example I would use because we trampled the civil rights of everyone in Boston to look for two men.
yeah. Two boys who, if I remember correctly, evaded capture by cleverly hiding in a boat.
Right? And I'll be honest. Look, even if there are two terrorists running around in my community, the government doesn't have the right to tell me I can't leave my home. It doesn't work that way.
Yeah.
So,
All right. Let's see. Well, speaking of deploying the National Guard to Chicago, I believe you brought this next story to us, and I'll read the title and then I'll let you go on it. So apparently, Governor Pritzker is to speak today on President Trump's plans for a possible Chicago National Guard deployment.
I put this in here mostly for comedic value because Governor Pritzker is literally just a joke. The left is collectively losing their mind on this. Governor Pritzker's speech I want to watch in particular because yesterday, Mayor Brandon, is it Brandon Johnson? Yeah, Brandon Johnson came out and literally told people to rise up and resist the National Guard and deployment of federal authority. That right there violates 18 U.S. Code 2383, sedition. He's saying resist federal law enforcement by force. That's actually against the law. So what exactly is J.B. Pritzker going to say, along with the Attorney General, whose name is Kwame? Got a lot of history of people named Kwame because Kwame Kilpatrick, the mayor of Detroit, was a big fraudster. So I'm naturally inclined to not believe guys named Kwame. They're going to speak out against it, but here's the deal: if federal Trump, or if the federal government decides to, I said federal Trump, bleh. If the federal government decides to federalize your National Guard is federalized. That's just the way it is. The only way for them to do anything about it would be to put them on state orders beforehand, and they're just not willing to do that. So we will see what happens here. It's going to be interesting to hear what J.B. Pritzker has to say, but in the end, it's not really going to matter what he has to say.
So, I just want to make sure I got this right. So, in response to Trump making noises about potentially deploying National Guard to blue states are making insurrectionary statements that, if followed through with, would in fact necessitate the deployment of not just the National Guard, but the actual full-on military.
Yeah.
That's a bold strategy, Cotton. Let's see how it plays out for him.
Let's see how it works out.
Well, I'm going to pan here for a second, folks, because it turns out we have something kind of exciting and unexpected that's about to happen here.
Hey, gents.
Hey.
How about that? I want to point out something here, Matt Grizzly. Fake African names. I once knew this nice older African American woman, and we were at work, and her name was Annie, and her kids' names were like James and David, very common. And when this young man started working there, whose name was Karanja, she looked at me and Mrs. Tactical Wisdom, and with a straight face said, "How do they know Karanja doesn't mean horse shit in Swahili?" And I thought that was the most profound statement ever made because they don't. They're just guessing. Anyway,
I mean, I've heard dumber things.
like, I don't know, Ryan. Anyway,
Oh my God. I wasn't going to bring it up, but I mean, if you guys want to talk about that, let's
no,
go there.
no. Ryan's actually a friend. He just sometimes gets silly.
And like I said to you guys, I hate seeing a good guy go like like high and right like that. So I mean, whatever.
Well, that was high and left, brother.
I
High
was
and
gonna say I don't know
I
any
know.
other way to describe that, but high and left. Thank you.
Well, high and right is throwing at a batter's head.
yeah.
Ah, there you go. Oh,
Yeah,
there
yeah,
we go.
that's-
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, so high and right. What are we talking about today, Jens?
Right now,
wow.
we're talking about nasty girls.
We talking about the nasty girls and them waging war on America. How dare we? Governor J.D. Pritzker is going to give a speech today, and given that multiple other people who are generally less, shall we say, provocative, have already issued very, very insurrectionary statements, it'll be interesting to see what old fat boy says.
Well, I'll be honest with you, I have no fucking idea what's going on in the world today. That being said, I have got an earful about South Korea. If you guys are interested,
Yes. So I
did you guys
absolutely
see the Donald Trump tweet?
Well, I was going to bring it up. So I saw it off to the side, and I thought about interjecting, but we were in the middle of the Nasty Girl story. But since
All
you
right, let's
brought
go.
it up,
Let's do nasty. Let's finish Nasty Girls because I don't want to derail you, and then we'll go.
No.
We
finished what we were talking about as far as Pritzker
okay.
goes, and this is a good stopping point. So let me pull up the Donald Trump quote. Because I saw that and I was like, oh my God, that's wild. I wish Scott was here.
So to get this, right? So Ji Jae-myung, that's what we call him. That's not his real name, but that's kind of like the pejorative name for him. Ji Jae-myung is the president. He's pro-CCP, left-wing, radical. He's less a commie and more a gangster, right? He's basically a gangster politician, from everything that I can figure. But he is also pro CCP and pro, leftist authoritarian. And so he basically he was handed the election when Yoon did the whole
Martial
go crazy on the martial law, right? And so that pretty much handed him the election. And so anyway, he's now president, and the Trump administration has been basically giving him the high hat ever since he's been president. Like they haven't called Donald Trump didn't call him to say congratulations when he won. They didn't get any key members of the administration haven't been here to South Korea. There was some speculation that the Secretary of Defense would literally fly in here to either Osan Air Base or Camp Humphreys to basically do a troop visit and then leave without seeing any of the rocks, right? So that was the kind of speculation, but he hasn't even been here. And so everybody's kind of like, oh, well, they're not getting any love from the Trump administration. Well, finally, and I don't know if you guys heard about they canceled the trade envoys, and in the end, I think the trade delegation was essentially handed off to Samsung to you make the trade deal for us anyway. And so finally, this whole thing is being pitched by the left here in Korea as Ji Jae-myung is coming to sign the deal that they made. Now, they also said that the deal that Trump said was not the deal that they agreed to, of course. And so nobody, when Ji Jae-myung lands in Washington, nobody comes to see him. It's all just Korean people at the airport. There's no band or red carpet or any kind of any of that stuff going on. He's not allowed to say. So the Blair House is where the visiting heads of state are quartered when they come to visit, with the exception of all the heads of states have stayed there since Trump's been president, with 3 exceptions. The first one is Erdogan. The second one is Ramaphosa. And then number 3 is now Ji Jae-myung. the South Korean commie. And so it's really interesting to see like this high level, just absolute, like, if we were playing video games here, you'd call it ponage or something like that. But this high level, just absolute, get the fuck away from us. Well, and then this tweet comes out. And so Donald Trump says, what's going on in South Korea seems like a purge or a revolution. We can't have that and do business there. I'm seeing the new president today at the White House. Thank you for your attention on this matter. So the speculation is just delicious in Korea. Like, is he going to get ambushed? Is it just going to be a signing, which is what the left is saying? Like, it's just all this stuff. It's just, it's just one of those kind of, you love to see it when left-wing radicals get just absolutely, I hate to say it, I love seeing the left get owned, especially in real world ways, not like internet, drama right. Points. Like, this is real own.
Yeah.
Well, and I want to clarify because I think this is the right move, because they're, according to what the left in South Korea are trying to push, we really can't keep doing business there.
No, absolutely not. So they're talking about essentially forcing the South Koreans to pay for a way more of our presence over here. There's been rumors on the internet, about DOD, sources within the DOD saying that, there's gonna be some potential amount of troops being pulled out. So we don't know what the hell's going to happen. It'll be I think it's just going to be fascinating to watch this go down, because this president is going to look like the president who basically lost Korea the golden, the goose that lays the golden eggs if it goes the way I think it's going to go.
Oof, big oof.
So I don't know. I don't know that this will bring any conflict, but who knows? You never know what can cause conflict.
It's a good point, because the South Korean president, being an Asian, can't back down and then lose face, risk being called a vassal of the United States. And Donald Trump, I don't know if you guys have heard this before or not, but Donald Trump does not like when people don't
back down to anybody.
He doesn't back down to anybody. So,
Joe, what's really interesting, I think Donald Trump takes it very seriously that he's the most powerful man in the world. I think he takes that very seriously, and his ego has absolutely absorbed that.
Yeah, it does.
Well, anything else we want to say on Korea?
I mean, the weather's been nice here. It's hot, but
Well, good deal.
The weather here has been so weird. I'll wake up in the morning, it'll be like 38 to 43 degrees, and then it'll be like 95 by mid-afternoon. And you're like, oh.
But you got to appreciate that, because you can like crack your windows at night, like.
Oh yeah.
The problem here is the humidity.
I forgot we were talking about the weekend, and now that you're on here, Scott, you'll appreciate this. I did catch something incredibly cool on my dash cam this weekend. When we were picking up the wife from the airport, we were driving back, and I see these two dots in the road, obviously eyes, right? But they were yellow, and they weren't moving like a deer. And as we got a little bit closer, it was a wolf who was eating a deer in the center of the road and hopped off to the side. So I slowed down to get out my trusty flashlight and see if the wolf was just standing there. My wife was like, "Do not stop." I'm like, all right. It was cool. So I saw my first wolf in the wild out here.
That's awesome.
That's where you take a picture and you post it on things seen on the road in Montana.
Yeah, I did save the video for that purpose to try and pull it up. But man, it was pretty cool. He was all black and gray and just ran off into the night. So,
did you guys see this thing about Myanmar? Speaking of Asia, So,
No, but I did see a Pakistan Bangladesh dust up, but
oh, is that I haven't
it's a
heard.
diplomatic thing. Pakistan,
What?
excuse me, Pakistan refuses to acknowledge the genocide they did of Bangladeshis. So
Well, bottom line is that America's trade war is in full effect, and to that end, China wants to retain access to the Kachin state, which is part of the. I think it's, if I remember correctly, I think it's part of the northern part of Myanmar. They got a bunch of rare earths there, and they want to retain that, whereas the U.S. is trying to poach them. So, this kind of competition over over this. So, I mean, it's looking like this could be another one of those East Asia Cold War kind of, because let's be honest, we're in a Cold War with China. I mean, we are. So it'll be
I don't even
interesting.
call it a Cold War. I call it a lukewarm war.
Yeah. We're just in a war. I mean, it's like, who knows what kind it is. So anyway, it's just really interesting to see where this is all going to go, because let's be honest, here's the thing, if this South Korean president had his way, he would basically go running to China when he gets smacked down by Trump. But the problem is the South Korean populace is not ready for that. There is a deep-seated, kind of closeness in the South Korean population towards the U.S., specifically in the older generation, but even many in the younger generation.
Animosity about Chinese atrocities during the Korean War, second only to Japanese atrocities a few years before that.
Yeah.
The Koreans are very gratefully wary of their Asian neighbors, right?
Yeah, and they have good reason to be. Mm-hmm. But so it's I don't know what the hell's going to happen over here, but with South Korea being one of our main lily pads in East Asia, the funny thing was always we had always exercised the North Korea scenario, right? That's what everybody always says in South Korea. You're focused on North Korea, but in fact, recently the CFC or USFK commander has been posting this picture of basically it's looking, the top of the map is south, the bottom of the map is north. So the idea is that basically the Korean Peninsula is in here, and it focuses on the whole Taiwan Strait and all going all the way to the Philippines, that kind of triangular, section of the map. That focuses south of South Korea, but uses South Korea as kind of like the linchpin to be able to project power into the South China Sea from, into East Asia. So it's kind of interesting to see where this whole thing's going to go. I love South Korea. I love the South Korean people. I've got deep ties to this country, but I always hate to see dumb politicians know
you're married to it.
Some may say that I am married to South Korea, but I would say I'm married to a woman who was born in South Korea. She is now a U.S. citizen. Somebody said something here that I want to kind of come back to.
I liked Juan Cholo's.
Oh, let me get Derna first, and we'll go to Juan Cholo. Derna said, "Hold up, Scott. We're the most powerful country. We need a president who represents our might." Okay, yes, I totally agree with that. And Trump absolutely does that in a full-throated way. He is literally the first president that, in my living memory, maybe Reagan, you could say, kind of had that swagger, but Trump is really the only president in living memory that's had that kind of swagger. Even George Bush didn't have that back in the, during the global war on terror. He was angry, but I don't really feel like he wielded the United States power in a way that Donald Trump does. Because here's the irony: most people only see military power when you think of the power of a country. Well, point of fact, you got the entire kind of paradigm of whole of country response, and Trump in a lot of ways sees the economy of the United States as as a weapon to be yielded. So this is one of the things he's doing, I think, doing very well. I mean, you know, we can criticize Trump about various different things. This is not one of them. What were you going to bring up?
Oh,
Mancho.
that one's good too. But I was just gonna say we were searching for the words, but
We're
I
in
think
diplomacy
they're
by hang on, Scott. Well, you know, I mean, I know some of you guys are a little older than me in the chat. I remember Reagan, but still, I mean, like, you know, I was 7 years old when the guy came to power. 8 years old.
Yeah. Any other notes on Asia?
No, I don't think so.
Well,
Did you guys already?
We have a China update coming up as soon as we're done with the National Guard stuff. So.
Oh, very cool.
Oh yeah, we still got a couple more National Guard stories because I want to talk about Dollar Store Obama.
Oh yeah, we'll get there.
Hey, here's the. Oh, I did see this. I saw this on just on my X feed. What's going on with these fucking street takeovers happening during the National Guard deployment to DC?
I didn't see any in DC. I saw a bunch of Detroit happen.
Yeah,
but I didn't see any in DC.
I thought they were. I thought it was in DC.
In response to ICE.
Let's see.
I saw ICE get attacked. There were 4 ICE officers that got attacked over the weekend in Los Angeles.
Oh, have you seen ICE? Yeah, right here. Hold on a second. Let me share the link with you. This is the kind of thing that I want somebody to violently put down.
You know what I want? I want somebody to arrest Brandon Johnson. His comments were unlawful, and his comments were unlawful. And if a Republican governor or mayor had said those about something that Barack Obama or Joe Biden was going to do, they would have been arrested and charged. So.
Oh, you're talking about this? I don't think this is in response to that.
No.
Doing this for.
No. I want to stop these guys.
Oh, 100%. But like I'll be honest, man. They've done big roundups of these people. Oh, well.
That just proves why it's necessary.
Yeah, they've done big roundups of these guys before, where they've captured all their ATVs and bikes and destroyed them in mass, thousands at a time. I don't know why. I do know they just steal more, but yeah.
Yeah, I don't know, man. But I have seen a lot of photos of DC at night, and people can go to the parks again, and it's getting just in the short period of time, DC is way more livable,
Yeah, the crime stats have gone down unbelievably. I saw that somewhere earlier. I wasn't able to find it before the show. But yeah, people are saying that it's a manufactured crisis to justify sending in the National Guard to Chicago. And before I move on, what is interesting about this is exactly what Joe and I said before Scott showed up. Gee, so in response to talking about the potential of deploying the National Guard, you are going to launch insurrectionary rhetoric and activity that, if followed through with, would necessitate the deployment of the big boy military, not just the National Guard. Huh.
Yeah, the irony is that I think the people are saying, "Oh, here Trump's going to try to do this in other cities and whatnot," but in point of fact, if he can use the National Guard to support federal law enforcement, as long as they are not in law enforcement capability under the whole kind of DISCA mission. And then they've got the Federal Emergency Act, that they can declare national emergencies, temporary national emergencies in cities. Like let's say the violence epidemic in Chicago is out of control, and they can call, and then they can go in and use federal law enforcement to get the situation under control. They can't do what they're doing in DC, but there are some legal things. I'm less of a fan of these kind of heavy-handed tactics, but what do we do with these liberal cities? I mean, I hate to let the people just lump it, but what do you guys think?
Here's the thing: we've allowed lawlessness to go on for so long that sometimes the tough thing has to be done to bring things back in line. However, I don't necessarily believe that using federal troops and military force is the way to do it. I believe that you need to empower the local police departments once again. You need to replace the fraudulently, yes, I said it, fraudulently emplaced DAs, get them out of office and actually get people in to represent the will of the people, which is to stop the lawlessness in the cities, to prevent this from happening. It needs to be done on a local basis because the entire premise of America is local home rule, right? Local governance and a very weak federal government and strong state and local governments. We're getting away from that. And in all honesty, Donald Trump is playing right into their hands by deploying the National Guard because they said he was going to do stuff like this. And as I pointed out over the weekend, and I got castigated for it by people, if you were worried 6 months ago, 7 months ago, that Joe Biden was going to impose martial law and you were against it and were willing to fight it, you can't suddenly cheer it on when Donald Trump does it. You have to have integrity. You have to call out wrongs no matter who it was.
No, you're absolutely right. I mean, and Joe, I think the proof is in the pudding, right? Everybody was so worried about, and even a lot of guys on our side of the fence were worried about, Trump using the federal force, federalizing the law enforcement and using the National Guard in DC, but ultimately we haven't seen anything that you could call totalitarian or authoritarian in the way they've been used. Let's be honest. I've seen more photo ops with National Guard and people on the National Mall that I have. Action shots have been taking part in any kind of authoritarian action. Some people say, "Oh, their presence on the street is chilling." Okay, great. Does that mean there's not as much crime? Because if having National Guardsmen on the street stops crime, then I guess worse things have happened. But that doesn't mean it's.
I'm going to disagree with you. Good idea. On the basis that it's an incredibly short road from one to the other.
Yeah. No, I got you. I mean, it's just ultimately when you look, it's hindsight's 2020, right? You can either say, "Oh, it worked great," and he stopped it in 30 days and no problem, right? Or you could say, "Well, this is where the end." But in 3 years,
when somebody else is in office from a different party, and they start to do it, and you start to resist, they're going to say, "Oh, but your boy did it." So the precedent has been set.
Yeah. Well, ironically, not yet. Now, if he does it in Chicago and he does it in LA and places like that, then you're right. The precedent's set. But if he just does it in DC and then just everything else is kind of threats, then he's actually got the right to do it in DC. So,
Saron, I said nothing about martial law. I didn't say the word one time.
Yeah.
Didn't say the word at all.
Joe, I know how you feel, man. Yeah, I've had a pretty big experience with people hearing what they want to hear versus what I actually say.
Versus what I actually said, yeah. And Scott, in the last 24 hours.
The funny thing was that he got upset at me for arguing about the semantics of my grammar of what I said. Well, dude,
Yeah. You said
I'm
nothing
not the
about
one who's
you
making
said
shit up.
nothing about Muslims, and I've met an awful lot of white Muslims in my life. So,
Same.
my friend, let me tell
Yeah.
you about Chechnya. Let me tell you about Serbia.
Well, you know that the
Let me tell you about Britain.
after several generations, the Ottoman dynasties were almost entirely Albanian because almost all of the wives of the you know the what was the leader of the Ottoman Empire called? It was the Grand Poobah of
The Mufti,
Constantinople. I can't
the
remember
Grand Mufti.
whatever he was. Anyway, they almost always filled their harems with Albanian women. God, shocking. Uh, the whitest part of the Muslim world. Um, does that mean they're racist? I guess so.
I guess. My problem isn't a fear of martial law. My problem is a fear of posse comitatus violations, which we are
Yeah.
skirting. And they can get away with it in Washington, D.C. You don't have as strong of a legal case of doing it elsewhere.
That's right.
So
I wonder if he's just using it as a big threat, you know, because let's be honest, I think most of the leftists are too stupid to realize, you know, how it can be used. And
no, actually, I think the left is giggling as he does this. They're hoping he does do it, and then they're going to trigger some incidents and events between National Guard troops and those poor boys who didn't do nothing.
And I honestly, as I've been saying, Scott, I believe that is Trump's intention as well. I believe Trump is trying to push them into making action now when they're at their weakest, because the future is very uncertain. But if they're the ones who launch the action, it becomes a lot more certain.
yeah, that's true. What else you guys got for DC?
Well, not necessarily DC, but this next one I couldn't help but include, and I couldn't find it before the show, but we have it now. The people of Chicago have spoken, Scott. They don't want that mean old Donald Trump. It doesn't matter that she just got carjacked and the
I heard
carjacker
about
broke
this.
her arm. She doesn't want those mean old jackboots coming in and, you know.
She probably also thinks that she deserved to have her arm broken because she didn't get out of the car fast enough.
Well, this woman is so privileged that she could have her arm broken and basically be like, no big deal.
Yeah,
You know, because I'm rich, you know.
Works a white collar job where she doesn't actually have to lift anything ever, and this isn't going to affect her.
And it's just.
Yeah, and then the last thing we have on this is California as well. So a lot of. I'm just going to play this next clip. I'm not going to comment on anything. This is a streamer who goes around to all different parts of the world.
One more second. I recognize that last bit, you know, the broken arm lady. She completely deleted her account after.
She did. Yes.
What was it? Asma Gold or whatever. Basically retweeted it and clowned on her to the tune of several 100,000. And she basically just, you know.
Well, and the retweet was
good.
The retweet was the biggest danger to America is not Russia, it's not China, it's not Hamas. It's rich, middle-aged white women who will import all of the above to destroy their society.
Woke white women are the biggest.
That Malcolm X was right, and that's why they killed him.
Woke white women are the biggest threat to us all.
Yeah.
So real quick, I'm just going to play this. This is a streamer. He's a travel streamer. He goes around all over the world, although he has focused a lot in the U.S., and just documents what he sees. This is California right now.
This is what used to be a children's playground. This is Fallout 3.
Not necessarily child-proof anymore. So you guys understand, I've been to so many places at this point, I'm starting to lose my emotional sensitivity to what's going on here a little bit. I don't really know how to react anymore because at this point it's all starting to blend.
This is what...
Yeah, no emergency there. Definitely no help needed in California.
Yeah, this is one of the reasons why I hope Gavin Newsom runs for office, because I mean because then he's going to have to run on his record, and it's a hell of a record.
Yeah, no joke. He's very popular in the base, which is appealing to them because even their own party is not popular to the base at the moment. But he's he's probably going to be one of the easiest candidates to take out of a race that's ever existed.
Well, the irony is he's trying to go on these podcasts, and he thinks being on that podcast is what's gonna win him the thing. No, being on the podcast is going to show everybody exactly who you are, and it's going to give a lot of people opportunities to compare and contrast your public image to your actual public record.
Facts. All right. Well, let's move into our China segment, shall we? We've got a bit of an update on China. The biggest one, in my opinion, that we're going to start with is that the Philippines has condemned China's swarm of forces near disputed shoals and vowed to defend its territory during a meeting with Australia's defense minister in the Philippines this weekend. So, in Manila, the Philippines defense chief condemned China's deployment of a swarm of armed Coast Guard forces backed by helicopter and drone close to the Philippines military outposts in a fiercely disputed atoll in the South China Sea. Its military also vowed to defend the offshore territory, the scene of repeated tense face-offs. The latest flare-up in the long-seething territorial disputes between the Second Thomas Shoal came up in a closed-door talks between the Philippines Defense Secretary Gilberto Teodoro and his visiting Australian counterpart Richard Marles. Philippines Military Chief General Romero Bronner Jr. says Marles renewed Australia's commitment to help defend the rule of law in a region experiencing the pressure that the rules-based order is being placed under. That is actually a very delicate way to word what the situation is down there, to be honest. Yeah, it's pretty good for a general. China's actions and its nebulous territorial claims in the disputed waters are a matter not only of concern, but of condemnation because of their gross violations of international law. So, anybody want to comment on what we're seeing so far? Because it's remarkable to me that Australia is actually making this step, as they have in very recent past been incredibly thoroughly buck broken by China, I want to say. No?
What do you mean? I don't know. I haven't been paying attention to Australia too much.
Well, so first of all, probably a quarter of Australian politicians are estimated to be like directly taking money from China. Lots of money too, not like small campaign contributions. There's also the whole not too distant past, I think it was a couple years ago, big scuffle that I don't think has ever ended, where China placed massive tariffs on Australian raw iron and a bunch of other ores that they export to China, which is like, I think it was something like 20 some odd percent, 30 some odd percent of the Australian economy. They really put the squeeze on them really hard, and Australia almost immediately capitulated. They talk a good game, but in the very recent past, every time something has come up, they've kind of done the Scooby-Doo run the other direction.
Well, the funny thing is that Australia, if they keep doing this, they're going to find themselves, in a tough position when it comes to, who's going to provide those submarines again? Yeah, not us, because we're not going to give you submarines if you're going to be that close to the Chinese.
Yeah, that's kind of what I'm saying. So it's interesting to me that I don't know if this is performative or if this is really Australia deciding that they've grown a spine again and are going to start actually standing up to Chinese aggression.
Well, if Australia is dumb enough to give us billions of dollars for submarines we're going to deliver 25 years from now, that was their own fault. When the French would have given them to them almost immediately.
Well, but the French weren't going to give him nukes, I think was the deal breaker there, right?
No, I don't know that that's the case, but who knows? I think that at some point they understand that that there's a problem there now, and it's too little, too late. They made a big mistake in the Solomon Islands when they allowed China to come in and take over security, even though they were up there, even though the Australians were already present. And I think that now they're realizing that they have really given away their influence throughout the entire Western Pacific. And now they're trying to play catch up.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if they're ever going to get it back. I mean, they're going to need some major changes in order to.
Systemic changes in the way their government functions.
Oh yeah, I mean it's and not unlike the United Kingdom, of which I had a interesting tweet about earlier today. This is a government that is insistent on going against the will of its people. I mean, have you guys been watching in the UK all the St. George crosses going up everywhere?
Oh yes, certainly, yeah.
The left is so butthurt about it. They're basically photoshopping them into red on white swastikas now.
Yeah.
To try to make it look like these are something. Oh, look at these Nazis.
Yeah, it's remarkable. It's crazy. It's also an unbelievable optical win for the British Patriots. In a very similar way to how the right basically capturing the iconography of the American flag really, 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 really hamstrung the left because it's caused them to. Because they have no emotional control and they have so much bleed over in their thinking, they now can't stop themselves from attacking the iconography of the country and then eventually actually hating the country itself. It's part of who they are.
Well, it just goes back. It's the old they can't help themselves.
Yes, yeah. And if you believe the British commentariat, which I hopefully do, but I'm also skeptical. This is merely the beginning of a hard edge of resistance. Apparently, the people have officially had enough. We'll see if that actually plays out and how far they're willing to go, because it looks like Keir Starmer is going to try and maintain his position by force. But best of luck to them.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to the uprising, which is going to come in England eventually.
Very true.
I want to share this with you just to show you what I mean. I just happened to find it while I was kind of idly scrolling. Just shared it in the private chat.
Oh, Haley Shane, good one.
Yeah, like if you zoom in on that, you find out, it doesn't look like that at all.
Yeah, she's giving him Photoshop advice, which I think is great.
If you're gonna do it, at least clone the textures when you do it.
Yeah, that's really sloppy, like really bad, actually. God, the left can't meme.
A classic blunder. You have made one of the classic blunders.
Yeah, you're looking at the comments now. Yeah.
Imagine the horror of people who live in a country raising the flag or painting the flag of their own country.
Well, and I wish I could say that were an alien thing to me, but yeah, the left's been trying to do that to us for a decade at least. So Speaking of China, though, let's talk about their new drone boat, which we saw from the Victory Day Parade rehearsal. Footage of preparation show a new uncrewed surface vessel with a series of stealth features. Ooh. Joe, I think you found this one, right?
Yeah. What I always find amazing is that these unmanned surface vessels always have windows on the bridge, like there's someone in there, right? And there isn't. I believe the intent is for this to look larger than it is when it's out on the water, right? Because that's actually not a very large boat. It's like 48 feet, maybe. But unmanned surface vessels are going to be a big player in the next naval war. And I think, Scott, probably like the like the loyal wingman that we have the plane for planes now. I think it's going to be very similar to that, moving in formation with other attack boats or whatever. It's going to be interesting, but I think that I don't know if this is even real though. This could also be a mock-up. So
yeah. Well, I think it's real. I know the U.S. has has a drone boat. And the idea for the drone boats that the U.S. are doing is it's essentially like those OSVs, the offshore rig kind of. They're like kind of small cargo boats. It's something like that with like a flatbed in it that you could basically just put modular weapon systems in, like containers, like missiles in a box or whatever. And it's something that would just be an additional magazine or arsenal of stuff that would follow around and like you said, the kind of, and I think also it would be able to be out in front, and that it would be able to deploy drones or like decoys.
Sort of a recon screen, something you don't mind losing, right? So if you remember, when we field tested that in the Persian Gulf, we had to immediately deploy some ribs to repel Iranian boarders who were going to try and steal the ship. They were attempting to hook up a cable to it and tow it away. So that's a big risk with these.
Yeah, and so the irony there is, Joe, is what do you bet it's got some sort of push button go boom kind of fail safe on it.
Yeah, it would have to have that, right? Which would actually be the funniest thing ever. Let them hook up their wire and tow it back, then blew it up.
Yeah, exactly right.
Well, the other thought about that is you definitely want something pretty substantial on there as a scuttling charge, because then you could also use it as a suicide boat. I also, interestingly, I'd like to think about just for a moment before we move on what the effect this might have on carrier groups is, because it does seem to me that a large percentage, not all, but a large percentage of the boats in a carrier group could be special purpose drone vehicles like this that could just basically be operated from the carrier itself or surrounding vessels.
Yeah. I think there's a lot of great opportunities for the use of these types of drones. It's like everything, right? It's a tool, right? It's not a good tool or a bad tool. It's just a tool. And if you find a novel and effective way to use it, then it's a novel and effective tool. But if you're stupid about how you use it, I mean, it's your own fault, right?
Is it? Where have I seen this boat design before? I swear I've seen this boat design before, and I want to say
the trimaran hull. The Chinese use it quite a bit, and we've used it on some of the LCSs. We just build in the open space.
But like this, wasn't this in like a James Bond movie? This whole stealth trimaran hull thing? No,
I don't know. Maybe. China uses a lot of the trimarans in the South China Sea.
500-ton displacement trimaran called the Killer Whale. All right.
I always love the originality that goes into the naming of businesses in China. The China State Shipbuilding Corporation, which is much
Right.
like the China Ship Bridge Building Corporation and all of that. So,
Well, these are going to be interesting. This is just the rehearsal for the show, so it'll be interesting. I think we've had a tradition, haven't we, of doing a pass and review on these military shows that China and Russia have done.
Well, the interesting thing is they're expecting some kind of new tech to be shown off, specifically with the aerial, the stealth planes, and stealth drones, and things like that. So it'll be interesting to see what China comes up with for this.
Autonomous nuclear torpedo. So essentially,
it's a giant nuke.
Yeah.
That you could send, you could deploy it from the middle of the Pacific, and it would just go right into the port of Long Beach and nuke it.
Fun. Definitely not a nightmare machine. Not at all. Let's see. Our next story: travel China risk for American citizens remains unchanged despite exit ban, U.S. trade group warns. Joe, I think this is another one you brought us, and this does sound like one you would be familiar with as a security guy. So what is going on? I have understood that it's been very dangerous for business people to travel to China basically ever since that abduction, right? For a bunch of union members abducted a U.S. businessman, and I think they killed him, didn't they?
Yeah, I mean, so go ahead, Joe. I'm sorry.
The interesting part about these is that both of the business people who have entered China and then been given an exit ban are actually dual nationals, Chinese and American. China, as we should, does not recognize dual citizenship. So both of them are also under investigation for, as China calls it, corruption and fraud, or as we call it, not paying bribes. So basically, they're actually Chinese nationals, and they have a legal right to tell them no. So they're not actually trying to hold Americans hostage, but this is how they gain influence over Chinese Americans in America by saying, "Hey, listen, we're not going to let you go back there unless you give us access to your laptop computer so we can download all of the information from your bank's business or whatever." That's just kind of how they operate. But they're not just snatching random Americans. These are all Chinese Americans who hold dual citizenship.
Makes sense.
Well, and the thing is that there are still Americans that go to China to this day, and I can't think of a dumber thing for them to do. Why, as an American, would you ever choose to go to China?
So real quick, in July, Beijing said it barred a senior Wells Fargo executive from leaving the country over a criminal investigation. 3 months later, an employee of the U.S. Patents and Trademark Office. That one's a little... that one hits a little different, doesn't it? I suppose not all employees of the Patent and Trademark Office are government employees, but it's edging a little closer to it.
Yeah, I don't know. This is one of those kind of things where it's obviously some chicanery going on there, if you will.
Yeah, and it's not that uncommon for China to do it, but a lot of people in businesses have freaked out about it. But if you're not a Chinese national, then you don't have anything to worry about. China makes a lot of money off of U.S. tourism because we're silly and we're willing to give people that hate us our money in the name of, man, look at how good we are. Look at how magnanimous we are. I went and visited China and gave them all this money. They don't want that to end.
Before we move on, I do have to say, Caravaggio. Bravo.
Yeah. Seriously, I think that if we brought back dueling, a lot of the idiocy that goes on in American life would end. You wouldn't have people acting the way they act if I could just say, "Oh, okay, let's go over here and have a duel tomorrow morning at dawn." Guys would be a lot more polite to each other.
Hold on, actually. Let's pan for a moment because I didn't realize this next link is Reuters, and I have to get a archive.
Reuters is the archive. Oh.
Mm-hmm. Not for you. All right, I got it. Somebody else already did it. So, Taiwan and China to battle it out in competing World War II narratives.
Yeah, this is one of those silly diplomatic dust ups, but there is an actual historic basis for this. Both sides of China fought against Japan, but I would argue, and this is an unpopular thing, but Mao's army did a lot more to fight the Japanese than the nationalist Kuomintang did. So
I'd say the Mao's army did more to fight the Kuomintang than they fought anybody else.
well, that's true too.
Yeah.
But China was already an absolute mess when Japan invaded Manchuria, and it just continued to get that way. Now Mao did avoid major Japanese formations early in the war, but when he started getting British and American funding, he all of a sudden went on the offensive. And then the minute it was over, went back to hating the British and the Americans. But communists gonna commie, right? I mean, it's kind of what they do.
Yeah, I mean, you can't be surprised by it. That's for sure.
Something ancient Chinese quote about riding tigers. As China, real quick, this is pretty interesting. Veteran Pan Chengfa says he clearly remembers fighting for China against the Japanese in World War II, but gets agitated when asked about the role of communist forces who were, at the time, were in an uneasy alliance with his Republican government. We gave them weapons, equipment, and we strengthened them, Pan, who is 99, said at an event in Taiwan's capital, Taipei, to commemorate the 80th anniversary of the end of World War II. As China gears up for a mass military parade in Beijing next month to mark the war's end, both Taiwan, whose formal name remains Republic of China, and the People's Republic of China, are locked in an increasingly bitter war of words about historical narrative and who should really be claiming credit for the victory. Fighting in China began in earnest in 1937 with the full-scale Japanese invasion and continued until the surrender of Japan in 1945, when the island of Taiwan was handed over to the Republic of China after decades of Japanese rule. After Japan was taken down, the communist next target was the Republic of China, Pan added, referring to the resumption of the Civil War, which had led to the victory of Mao Zedong's forces and flight of the Republican government to Taiwan in 1949. The ruling Chinese Communist Party often reminds people of its struggle against the Japanese, but a lot of the fighting was done by the forces of Chiang Kai-shek's Republican government, and it was the Republic of China who signed the peace agreement as one of the allied nations. During the Republic of China's war of resistance against Japan, the People's Republic of China did not even exist, but the Chinese communist regime has, in recent years, repeatedly distorted the facts, claiming it was the Communist Party who led the war of resistance, which... a Communist Party trying to distort history in order to make themselves look better? Unprecedented.
They never do that.
Never, right? And and in this case, I guess they're actually right. Although Mao's forces do have some credit, it was indeed Chiang Kai-shek's government who was one of the allies. So, and after the war, when the communist Chinese sent volunteers in Chinese army uniforms to Korea, MacArthur, who was in charge of the UN operation in Korea, made it a point to go and coordinate with Taiwan, the Republic of China, at the outset to set the tone that they were not going to allow the Chinese communists to dictate the terms. So, interesting side note to history. I thought it was cool to include this.
Yeah, I agree. it's also important, like, as scary as this is happening in our own country. Like, you watch this happen with historical facts that we all watched happen with our own eyes. COVID's being changed, and it's only been 5 years. The we must be aware of the communist tendency to try and weaponize historical record. And this is just yet another example. We do have one last
an example of, like, when they tell you that they show you a picture of D-Day and say this was Antifa. No, the F it was not Antifa.
Yeah, right. This is anti-fascist action in action. Anti-fascist.
Yeah.
This last story is buckle up. We're gonna be here for a minute on this one. This is a story that came out yesterday. And I'm not going to bury the lead here. So it turns out that the DEA approached the RCMP, which is the Royal Canadian Mounted Police, the main federal police force of Canada, in a very, very regular thing that they do all the time, asking for cooperation in a large drug bust. You see, the DEA had tracked down a massive, probably the largest to date fentanyl production lab inside BC, specifically Falkland. And they were asking for the RCMP's help to shut it down, and the RCMP ghosted them. U.S. officials say the RCMP is stonewalling on the Chinese precursor-supplied Falkland Super Lab, described by DEA Chief Derek Maltz as a major disaster, among the reasons behind Trump punitive tariffs. Canada's federal police refused to investigate or cooperate with United States Drug Enforcement Administration on a British Columbia fentanyl superlab probe tied to chemical precursor shipments from China into Vancouver in late 2022, according to senior U.S. officials. More than a year later, only after the U.S. Treasury sanctioned Iranian-Canadian businessman Bachman, I'm not even going to try on that one, and his Health Canada license company, Valerian Labs, naming them as part of a Chinese fentanyl trafficking syndicate that Washington sought to disrupt, did the RCMP finally open up a siloed investigation. The force continued to refuse coordination or information sharing with the American agents who had initiated the case. In an exclusive interview, Derek Maltz, DEA acting administrator in 2025 with oversight of the matter, called the BC Superlab case a major disaster. This explosive information, confirmed to the Bureau by current and former U.S. senior officials, has never before been reported in the Falkland BC Superlab case, which was covered internationally by outlets including the New York Times. It amounts to a rare public rebuke that elevates the matter from a Canadian policing failure into a high consequences geopolitical disaster. Yeah. I think that if you were to probably track the number of deaths caused by fentanyl from this lab, that's something that America can rightly lay directly at Canada's feet.
Well, I mean,
It'd be a shame if they had a fire.
We've been hearing an awful lot, though, that Canada's becoming the source of the fentanyl now. I mean, ultimately, it's China's the source, so China will use whatever methods they can.
Yeah. A lot easier to deal with, though, if they make us do that. Just saying. Oh,
did you guys see the tweet from the Mexican senator who said the only politicians that are complaining about what the U.S. is doing in Mexico are the narco politicians? Everybody else wants this, and then she's of course putting Claudia Sheinbaum like up front and center in that call out. I thought that was very interesting.
I did not see that, but that's glorious.
Let's see if I can find it.
Another one of those examples of something everybody already knows, but it's really good to hear someone involved admit it.
One shot, one kill. Here we go. I mean, this is the same. I only say this because this is ultimately the same story, just a different border.
Yeah.
So this is a Fox News story, so you can play the video.
All right.
President of Mexico is furious. She's calling Mexican Senator Lily Tellez a traitor for coming on Fox Noticias with me a few days ago and saying this. Listen.
The help from the United States to fight the cartels in Mexico is absolutely welcome, and that is how the majority of Mexicans feel. The only ones who don't like that President Trump is sending help and trying to support Mexicans against the cartels are the narco politicians. That includes President Sheinbaum.
Mexican President Claudia Sheinbaum responding, saying, quote, "It's not a minor issue that a senator gave an interview to a foreign media outlet calling for intervention." Here to discuss is that Mexican Senator Lily Tellez.
I mean,
Just a brief
not for
pause.
nothing. That's pretty ballsy. Go ahead, Watcher. I'm sorry.
Oh, it really is. I was just you actually had something to say. I was just going to say a brief pause for copyright reasons.
Senator Tellez, welcome to Fox Noticias. I'm just going to get right to it. Is Mexico a narco state?
Yes, it is. And we all Mexicans know about it. And Mexicans are afraid of the alliance between the Mexican government and the cartels that have infested our nation.
Can you explain this alliance between the president, her party, the Morena party, and the cartels?
Yes, the party has financed, has given, the cartels have given so much money to these politicians, narco politicians of Morena, to get into office, to get the power. So they protect, the Mexican government protects the cartels. That is why President Sheinbaum doesn't want the strong American leadership to help Mexico defeat the cartels. And also, Sheinbaum doesn't want the rest of the world to know what is happening here in Mexico. We are on the steps to be the next Venezuela. She is aligned with Venezuela's dictator, with Cuba, and we are losing our country. They have destroyed our Republican institutions, the democratic state, and we must. I think we all Mexicans want and welcome the support of the United States to assist Mexican people against the cartels that have.
I didn't catch. Did anybody see what part of Mexico she represents?
I didn't see,
Sonora.
but
Sonora. Okay.
She is from Sonora. Ironically, all photos I have of her involve her skin tone being much darker. I'm not really sure why her skin. Maybe she's like Michael Jackson. I don't know. But Lily Tellez is from Sonora National Action Party, which is their conservative party. But interesting. She's definitely in the minority in Mexico.
yeah, no, you're absolutely right.
That's a pretty ballsy move she made, though. She's definitely gone on people's targeting lists now.
But Joe, this absolutely goes back to what you and I have been saying for a long time. The only part of this country that's really under government control are areas like Mexico City that are essentially under Mexican narco politicians' controls.
Right, and it's like when American tourists go to Mexico and like, oh, I went there and it's perfectly safe. No, you went to an enclave that is controlled by American corporations and protected by American security, and is one of very few places that the Canadian government puts some authority in. The rest of the country, however, lives under the absolute tyranny of the drug cartels and lives at the whim of the drug cartels. The only jobs in most of Mexico are working for the cartels or working for General Motors, but then I repeat myself.
Right.
So, this girl is not long for this world if she keeps talking this way, though. So.
Yeah, I get the feeling that her popularity on the X platform is going to be probably a net negative for her longevity.
Yeah.
Well, at the same time, it's good to see brave people stand up.
Yeah, 100%.
Hunch has a $2 one.
I missed that one. Hunch for $2 says Canada no longer deserves sovereignty or the facsimile the crown gives it. It needs to take its proper place as a mere collection of America's northern territories. Just saying.
Yeah,
that's a good point.
Two things. One, no, we don't need all those liberal voters. And the other thing is that for those who are saying Mexico is the 51st state, also no, for the same reason. We don't want Denmark or Mexico, Denmark. We don't want Greenland or Mexico because they're 100% dependent populations. We don't have the ability to support that. And they're all going to vote absolutely leftist. We don't want that. Let them rot where they are. Right.
Yeah, the only thing that I would consider would be potentially a territory, like basically a non-represented territory. But that would be about as far as I would be interested in. Maybe a free association kind of thing, like we've done with a couple.
Yeah, you can't crock-pot broccoli. You can't say you're going to make them the 51st state and then also say we're not going to give them voting rights. Then they're not a state.
Yeah, the territory would be as far as I would go for any. Essentially, you could bring Canada in, and it would still just be a territory in my main.
Random PNW guy asked me if I can elaborate on GM in Mexico also being the cartels. GM operates at the whim of the cartels. They're only allowed to be there because the cartels let them be there. That's what I mean.
Yeah, this is right.
If you actually want to run a business in Mexico, you don't do business with the government of Mexico. You contact the cartels and make sure it's okay with them, and they will then handle everything else for you. Just how it works. I know you guys. We don't want to make the world America. We really don't. If you allow every dump, Canada and Mexico, sorry, Canadian friends, if we allow every terrible country to become a part of America, it loses its specialness. Let it go. Let them remain what they are.
You thought the Mex PM must be working with the cartels? Yes, she absolutely is. And on that bombshell, folks, that's where we end for the day.
And yeah, Billy Blogs, the Mexican president probably is working with the cartels. It's the only reason why Scheinbaum is allowed to be in office in Mexico.
Yeah.
But they limit her control to Mexico City. That's what we're saying.
Which is not just her, to be clear. That's been the deal for the last 10-ish presidents of Mexico. It's a pretty untenable situation. Scott, what do you want to say to the folks before we leave for today?
So there's just the Japan Times article about the things that the President Lee Jae-myung said before he got to America. He says there is a shift. Let's see, according to Washington, strategic flexibility, a shift that would see U.S. forces in South Korea play a larger role in countering China. That would prove difficult. Lee said, it's true the U.S. is demanding flexibility of the U.S. forces in South Korea, but this is not an issue we can easily agree with because he's such a big fucking commie China supporter. Instead, discussions on future-oriented strategic transformation of U.S. forces in Korea are necessary from our perspective as well, Lee said, referring to the 28,500 troops stationed in South Korea. And he's very adamant that, listen, you have to have that. Key amongst those would be Trump administrations for pushing to modernize South Korean alliance by reorienting the primary mission of the U.S. forces Korea towards China rather than North Korea, while pressuring Seoul to hike defense spending to 5% of GDP, which is exactly what NATO has come around. Oh my God! After the Russia-Ukraine war, NATO's decided, we should have 5% too. And domestic product and pay more of the upkeep of the soldiers in South Korea. I think my prediction is that he's going to be very disappointed by his meeting with Trump and expect more, kind of fireworks in the Oval Office later today. Oh, and by the way, Charlie Kirk's coming to South Korea as part of a big conservative convention they're having in Seoul, and like I think it's in September or something like that.
That'll be interesting.
Yeah, I was like, I wonder if I could get tickets to that. That might be fun. All right,
Joe, how about you? What do you have for the folks before we go?
Nothing. Pay attention to your surroundings. Know what's going on, and just understand that you're in a different time, right? The America of the 50s and 40s is gone. You live in a place where the cartel action could come to your neighborhood at any time. They found caltrops in the woods outside of Bozeman. That's entirely cartel activity, right? And actually, there's a news story last night. They just raided a house in Bozeman that is a stash house for illegals from Venezuela, and 20-something people inside. So pay attention. Be aware of your surroundings. Understand that as we ramp up for what looks like war with Venezuela, which maybe we should talk about on Wednesday, you should maybe be aware of what that impact is on the homeland. And it's not good. So.
Yeah. Watcher, what about you? What do you got for the folks?
Network locally. Get to know people. Make a network of people who produce food. You will not be sorry about this. Even if nothing stupid happens, it's higher quality food, and you're supporting people around you. What can I say?
Hey, by the way, here's my note. If you live close to a main road, consider some sort of a barrier system, or the ability to have standoff from said road.
Yeah.
And when I mean a barrier, I don't mean a fence. I mean like a berm. Guys, I think that's the show. Hey, Joe Watcher, thank you for filling in for me on these days. I will probably not be here on Wednesday, but that will be the last day of my stuff. So I'll be back like normal on Friday. If you haven't done it already, please like and subscribe to the channel. Hit the bell for notifications. Let people know you're getting good stuff over here on the Council on Future Conflict. For my good friends who picked up the ball for me the last week and this week, thank you. Chat, you're awesome as always. And as always, stay safe.